Hey everyone, welcome back to the Abundant Street Podcast. I'm your host Janice, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
April Capri. Welcome
April.
back, welcome back, welcome back. What's up,
Welcome
Jen?
back. So
Welcome
we're on
back.
episode 49. 49.
49.
And
Yeah,
guess what? We have another returning guest. How exciting, huh?
we do. We have a great update for you guys. Not sure if you guys caught episode 20. We had a serial entrepreneur, engineer, and marketing specialist, and also
Yes.
host.
Yeah, so it's John C. Morley is back with us today. So y'all make sure you go to episode 20 and watch his first episode so you can get the background story because he's going to come in with some updates tonight. So,
Yes. Real life updates of real life people in real life time. We want you guys to rock, continue to rock with us on these journeys, not only ours, but also those of our guests. We're all on our journey. So I think it's kind of helpful to see people grow and check back in and say, hey, how you doing? What you been up
right.
to?
It,
So
sh-
it's cool. I'm excited.
it sure is because, we're on our growing journey too. So we're growing too. So to see everyone else grow and give us updates is so exciting.
It
So,
is. And it's tripped out to see the older episodes. You ever just kind of looked at yourself like, wow, look at me.
yeah, we come a long way. It's awesome. We come a long way. We're going a long way. So we're in for the long haul. Thank you for
Definitely.
supporting us, y'all. So before we bring our guest out, just we're gonna uh we're gonna see what y'all missed back from episode 20. Just a quick clip. So we'll see you in a minute.
His passion for inspiring individuals of all ages to discover their passion shines through his work. He ignites curiosity and enthusiasm for self-discovery, human connection, and the wonders of science.
But my point is that this got me into a mind frame that I could do anything. As I had said once before, Henry Ford said, if you believe you can't do something, you're right. And if you believe you can, you're also right. So when your heart is able to feel something, the heart is the manifester of your creations. Visualize the success is fine to start. If you're thinking about having a positive day, your REC, your reticular activating system, RAS I call it, is focusing on what your subconscious is saying, oh gee, I want to focus on that today. Even if it's a great day and there's lots of abundance. And
welcome back, John C. Morley.
Welcome back, John C. Morley. In
Hey,
New
John.
Jersey, where it's still springtime.
What's up, John?
How are you, ladies? Long time
Good.
no talk or chat.
Yes,
Right.
Video
sir.
chat.
It's been
Great
a
to see
few
you
months.
again.
Yes.
Yes, it has. It has. It has. How
Thank
have
you
you
for
ladies been? Okay.
Oh, we're doing great. We've been growing, and I know y'all been growing, so we're excited to have you back. So thank you
Yeah,
so much for coming on.
it's great. It's great to be back. The
Yeah,
first time I was on, we gave some great, powerful nuggets that hopefully some people decided to, apply. I always say, if you don't get what you want, a lot of times it's because you don't put the time in to get what you want. You don't do the work. That
absolutely.
doesn't mean it has to be hard work, but you have to do some work, right? So if you don't do the work, you're not gonna see the difference. I think I said this once before. Einstein said, if we do the same thing over and over again and we expect different results, that's insanity. So if you guys are here
Yes.
watching or listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm not getting anything, but I keep doing the same thing, well, stop it. Change what you're doing, because the myth about doing the same thing over again and getting different results, well, that's actually the problem, is that you're not going to get different results. You have to change what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to become just as frustrated as you were before.
So true.
Absolutely. So change what you're doing and just continue making progress every day. Like work on those
Yeah,
things every
I
day.
think that's the name of the game. You can't
Yeah.
expect lightning progress overnight, right? That's
No.
probably the biggest thing I have to tell you. You can't expect progress overnight.
Absolutely.
And if you can't expect progress overnight, then the main thing is you have to remember that it's got to be, a choice that you make in your life. And if you don't make that choice, then I feel that things can be a big problem for you. But it's not like, you know, if you go wrong, you can't change. You have to realize that when you go down the wrong path, you're given this feedback from the universe so that you can course correct and you can change where you're going. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get where I want to go. All right, well, just put the car in reverse and go somewhere else. Like, you're not stuck down a one-way street. But a lot of people think the car doesn't go in reverse, right? I mean, my car goes in reverse, your car goes in reverse, your car goes in reverse. Why does everybody else's car doesn't go in reverse? It just goes
It
forward, and then they can't back up.
well, it
Wow.
does. We call it the pivot here, don't we, April?
Yes, the power of the pivot. And what you said was really great advice, because I think because we're in such of an automated society now, increasingly with this quick gratification. If something doesn't load in 3.2 seconds, you have like a meltdown. I think that we hold ourselves to that same standard too sometimes. And it's important to realize that things aren't going to happen overnight, especially great things, like you said. So I definitely back that up 100%. And I really like your hat. What is your hat?
Oh yeah, so I made it. So but you didn't see it last time. I don't think I had it
Oh,
on
yeah.
me. So basically, I was looking for some way to catch people's attention. So I made a little hat, and the hat has my slogan. If you guys are watching, if you're on the podcast audio version, well, it's a black hat and it has some colored LEDs that keep changing, and it says my slogan: BelieveMeAchieve.com.
Okay.
Awesome. Love
And what
that.
is believemeachieve.com?
Yes, BelieveMeAchieve.com is my link tree, and it's a evolving page of things that I'm doing,
Okay.
and things that I want to highlight or feature, or from the businesses I own and different news. Also, the charity I run. So it's
That's
a good
awesome.
place to catch up there. I think the last time you and I talked, I was in the process of starting another show, which I did. I have a live show on Saturday nights called Behind the Mic with John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. That's on iHealth Radio,
Awesome.
and that's a live show that's just on the radio.
I love it.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. Look at the
It's an
progress.
hour. It's an hour show. This past week, depending on when this airs, we were talking about. For those of you who don't remember, I can just help you guys try to recall. I do a couple things. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but in my content creation, I create Super Motivational Friday with John, Science Fridays with John, and I also create on in the week for Mondays, which is JCM Academy. So JCM Academy is not motivation, even though that's what it started out. JCM Academy is business advice. So what I decided to talk about on the radio was something people don't want to hear. And that's the thing that you need to be accountable for your own stuff, your own paperwork. Because I was explaining something, one of the most important things you can do in your business is you have to make sure that you file on time. That's your payroll taxes, that's your sales and use tax. And I went over all that. And you might say, well, gee, that's no big deal. Well, payroll taxes go up to 15, 25% if you're late. And the biggest one is the IRS. So, because, oh, it's no big deal. I'll get to it when I get to it. Well, fine. You get to it when you get to it, and you don't have an extension. And now suddenly, by the way, they're due on April 15th. They're due 4 months actually after your physical quarter. So ours ends on December 31st. So obviously April. But most people's end at the end of the year, but some people's don't. So it's due 4 months after your period ends, after your fiscal year ends. So for most people, it's April. But somebody that, let's say, has a business that ends in August, so that would be September, October, November. It would be due in December. So it just depends. So if you can't file by that date, you have to have an extension done. It's pretty easy to do. If you don't file the extension and you have a corporation like an S Corp or a C Corp, it's $220 for any portion or the full month that you are late. Now it gets better. It's not just $220. If that's like not enough for you, because that doesn't seem too bad. Let's just say you have 4 shareholders in your company. It's $220 per shareholder. So you just sucked out $880. You're late for 3 months. Well, you just got yourself a present of $26.40.
Oh.
Now, I did talk to him and I said, look, if you make a mistake and you've always been good filing, the IRS will do an automatic abatement for you by just calling them up on the phone. And so regardless of where you are, the IRS is all over the world. So it's the 1-800 number. It's the 1-800 number, tax 1040. And what I tell 829-1040, that's 1-800-829-1040. They're open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That means, ladies and gentlemen, do not call them at 8 o'clock. Do not call them at 9 o'clock. Do not call them at 1 o'clock. You will frustrate yourself. If you don't get up early in the morning like I do, set the alarm. You don't have to be dressed in your most prim attire. You can just come out, make your phone call, get online at 7:58, 6:58, and you're going to get right in there and you're going to see within less than 30 seconds, good morning. This is the IRS. This is agent number 7642546. They don't give you your name. How may I help you? Well, I'm having an issue with, okay, sure, I'll be happy to. And you will get rid of that issue right away. Now, if you've had an issue whereby, unfortunately, it was a second issue. So the second one's a little harder because now you have to file what they call an abatement form. People are like, what the heck is an abatement form? Yes, the IRS has an abatement form. And on the show, I went in depth about what the Form 843 is, how you fill it out, how you use it. I won't go into that now. I spent a good 35, 40 minutes telling people how to fill out that form.
Wow,
and so when you file that, what's that?
I said it sounds like you drop a lot of gems on that show. That's awesome. Very detailed.
Very detailed. What somebody told me is,
the information
John,
nobody talks about.
What's that?
The information nobody talks about.
Yeah, and you know what? I learned the hard way. Nobody really helps you because they don't know. And, that's what running a business is. See, that's not what a business owner, an entrepreneur, a business owner gets this stuff right. An entrepreneur says, okay, I know I got to do this. I got to be accountable. So I don't care if you're not good at taxes. I don't care if you're not good at even bookkeeping like I do. You got to make sure you keep records. Okay? You got to keep your records. When we make a purchase, we click on that file. We save that as a PDF or image. We attach it to our books. Bam. When we make a purchase that's not online, we scan it, goes in the computer. Bam. Things like phone bills, parking, we don't go into it because they're pretty standard. So the IRS is not going to really audit you for, you're having 20 parking, let's say, bills for $5 each. They know, if you have a parking bill and it's $100, then that could be a problem. But, you come in with an easy pass, you don't need to have all that on audit, and you have it on account if you need to. So what somebody told me is, John, your shows are great, but don't make your Jason Academy and don't make your show on iHealth Radio a Motivation 2.0 and 3.0. I said, what do you mean? Well, you're kind of like repackaging the same stuff. I said, I am. Yeah, you are. So it's like I'm expecting to get something different, and you're talking about motivation. And although it's nice, but it doesn't belong on that channel. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. So I've been just trying to unpack things that you might go through. I might talk about how you get a loan from the SBA. I'm going to talk about some loan companies that you want to stay away from, like On Deck and some other ones that, obviously they seem like they're so great. But what people don't realize is that they start taking the money out of your account as soon as you approve. So let's say you borrowed X $1,000. Well, every Friday, they're going to start taking a little amount of money out of your account automatically. And so you're going to start having to pay it back, even if you don't use it. You're starting to so you got to be careful with these kinds of things. Right. And, so there's a lot of things that I'm going to share there. But I think the biggest thing is knowing the IRS isn't something you should fear. You have to understand that. I also talk about the fact that, the IRS has a PIN you could set up. Not too long ago, I was filing and my accountant said to me, hey, John, he says, we have a problem with your filing. I said, what's wrong? He says, well, the state rejected you and the IRS rejected. I said, well, so he says, I'm just going to try doing it to the state only. Okay. Still got rejected. I said, well, why? He says, I don't know. He says, it says duplicate return. So I go call the IRS up first. And I said, hey, I had to validate who I was. And she's asking me all these questions. And I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. She's like, well, can you tell me, did you get a refund this year? I said, yes. Do you know, I said, only asked me, did you know about the amount? And I said, well, it was about, she's up, that's close enough for me. And so I said to her, I said, I didn't find anything. She's like, okay, so now that you've verified information, I can share things with you. So you didn't work for home hospitality in Arkansas this past year as a bartender? No. And I guess you didn't make just $6,500 for the year? No. Okay. I said, let me ask you a question. I have several businesses. I have an Inc. and I have a Schedule C. Was there a Schedule C on my return? No, this was just a W-2, so that's not me. She's like, absolutely, it's not you. So now I'm like, well, what do I do? Well, you need to file an identity form with us, and so you can't file electronically, you have to file by paper, and you have to mail that back to them. So you have to do the same thing with the state, but then I requested that from now on I have a PIN so nobody can file my stuff without the PIN. And the state doesn't have that yet. But something as simple as that can really muck you up because I know a couple of years ago when it was COVID, somebody's coming after me and saying, your company owes this money for this employee, some person, Shannon, something. I'm like, who? She claims she worked for you during the pandemic. Shannon, what's her last name? Brizanaldi or something. I said, I don't know who she is. And where does she live? She currently lives in Idaho. Well, I don't have anyway. She worked remotely with you. What did she do? She said she was in sales. Okay. I don't have any of her information. This seems like fraud. Apparently, but you're going to have to file a form such and such because you're still liable because the state still thinks you're still trying to not pay her.
Right.
So now I'm in an unemployment battle, but I didn't create it. So when somebody opens up a Pandora's box, you have to realize you are still responsible. You are, I like to say, guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
So you have to prove yourself, right? So what I've been doing now since we've spoken is I've been trying to give more information about day in the life of a business.
Okay.
Which I think is, we've done, like, one of my first videos was very popular, was how do you start a business? Mm-hmm. And I always say to people, your friends always tell you, they want you to start a business because they really have good intentions, but they have no darn clue on how to start one because they've never done it themselves. So don't take advice from people that haven't actually started a business. That's number one.
That's a gem.
And my friend did this, my girlfriend did this, my boyfriend did this, and it's really easy. Did you help them? No, I didn't help them. But you can just go online. It's really simple. And as much as you want to believe them, opinions are not helpful in business. It can cost you more money. So these are some challenges. So what happens is, you go through all things and you do everything right. But the first thing you got to start out with doing is you got to go do a name search. Got to go online and do a name search, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in Jersey, and you go do a name search. You see if the name's available. You don't have to pay any money. You just go right online and do a name search. The name's available, great. Now go check if the domain's available.
Right.
Okay.
All the steps,
Make sure that's available. Okay. Yeah. And what happened with one of my companies a while back, we started a company called Orbital Media, which is my media company. Orbital Media was taken. The name in New Jersey was fine, but a company in some other country has Orbital Media, the United Kingdom or something. So we operate as Orbital Media LLC, but our website is orbitalmediahub.com, which is still legal. So you have to figure out these kinds of things. You have to figure out, are you going to be a sole proprietorship? Are you going to be in a corporation? What are you going to do? And a lot of times I tell people, don't go creating more work. Like, if your company is not making a lot of money, don't go starting a C or an S Corp, because you're just going to create more liabilities. You're going to have to create 1120Ss. And 1120S average filing cost is $1,500 to $2,500.
Yikes.
So, even with an LLC, guys, you still got to pay $125 down and $75 every year for the anniversary. So do you really want to do that?
Depending on what state you're in. Some states are even more expensive.
Yes.
And so just to touch on what you are talking about the information that you're providing, I really think that it's great, because we all know there's a lot of misinformation getting spread on the internet. And as speaking for myself as well, you kind of get, people tell you the YouTube University, you're a starting entrepreneur, you can't pay for a professional tax person and a professional CPA right off top. You have to kind of figure this stuff out. And it's where do you go to get real?
You need a professional person that can file your taxes for you. So all you really need is a tax person. You don't need a bookkeeper. You don't need a bookkeeper.
Right. But I'm saying just to have the information of knowing, what do I need?
You've got to do a little research. You got to figure out some things. And I learned by trial and error. There wasn't a Udemy course that said this is what you need to do. I mean, I never realized you can create all these liabilities. Even something as simple as, let's say, ADP not filing something correct. I'm still on the hook because they didn't file a report properly, 940, 941, and you got to go out and do that because the state can come after you for that. So you have to realize it's okay to have these things in place, which you have to do. You'll go crazy trying to do your own payroll. Don't do that. If these people don't file, you have to check with them, hey, if they're reputable, great. But every once in a while, you want to just check, hey, did you guys file this? You want to just check. And you want to make sure at the beginning, are they filing regularly? And just kind of check with them. You can even check with the state and say, hey, oh, yes, we got your report. I remember one company, it was a couple of years, many, many years ago, that we were filing something, and she says, "You haven't paid us anything." He said, "Yes, we have." No, we've never gotten any money from you. So this was another company I own. And I said, "Well, why?" "I really don't know. It took us 4 months to figure this out." Okay. I didn't hire anybody. I figured it out myself, back and forth. I mean, they're very nice, but this is the state now. They didn't understand. And I said, "Well, where is this money going?" And I showed her those slips. She's like, "Well, it's going here." I said, "Well, then why are you saying I didn't pay you?" She's like, "I'm not really sure about that. We're going to have to research that." So all this money I'm paying you, you're saying we don't. I'm saying I don't have it in your account here. But I just told you that the state of New Jersey is getting my money. I know that that's the part that I'm not really sure about what's going on. So I'm going to have to, research this. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, certified letters. I'm getting fines from the state. I said, "This is nuts." We figured out what happened. The numbskull payroll company we went with decided to create a new number that was close to my number, not exactly the same number. They let's say flip the digits on the TID at the end.
Wow.
So we were paying an entity, which they created a new entity for me and a new tax liability. So now we had to move the funds from that liability into the other liability and close that one and write a letter explaining that this was opened in error by the payroll company. Of course, I fired them. So when you get these payroll companies, you have to realize when you get somebody like 2095, 3095, it's great, but don't expect them to do everything for you, and don't hire these companies for $19 and say, "Oh, you file it yourself." Do not do that. The
I
only
think you
thing
need
we
to.
do in-house is we file our own sales and use tax. We've been doing it for years. It's not hard. We have software that does it. We go online, we pay it. So on June 30th, we will pay what's due by July 20th. Now, here's another little tip most people don't know. The government says you have to pay your bill by July 20th. I think it's the same in all states, but I don't know Texas's rules. But they're all pretty much similar. In New Jersey, it's 6.625. I don't know if you guys know what's your tax in Texas.
I don't know.
Mine is 7.25.
My business is
Yeah.
not quite as advanced as yours, and so I'm not ready to put anyone on payroll right now or anything like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
But
Well, the tax rate but this is just for you if you go buy something. In Texas, it's 6.25%.
I think it's 8.25 in Texas.
It says right now, yeah, there's certain parts.
Yeah,
So 6.25 is the local jurisdiction, and then it says there are some jurisdictions that can go 2% higher depending on where you
yeah,
live.
8.25.
8.25% is available in 2 of the regions of Texas, which I didn't even know. Just looked up.
Yeah,
That's just stuff you can look up online. So now this is the issue. So now, if you are a business, okay, and you collect sales and use tax, you have to file for an ST3. You get the tax exempt number, but then you have to pay it. If you don't have a business that needs that, it also means when you go to the store, you're not actually asking them to remove the tax. So really what happens is I buy a product or service, and I may have to tax it later with a finished product. Later, I have to use it as a finished product or service and taxable. So a lot of people don't realize these things, and they don't realize that even though these companies are supposed to do the right things for you, they really try, but they're not perfect.
I think it's
And
very important that you have to watch your books and watch everything you're doing. Even though you hire these companies and software using different softwares, you still need to pay attention to all your books and
absolutely.
whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
you have to pay attention, and you got to pay attention to make sure your returns are done, and you got to make sure that your taxes and your IRS is done by that date. So you got to make sure you get your button, you
yeah,
get that stuff to them by January once you finished your stuff.
absolutely.
A lot of us say, "Oh, gee, it's only a month. I'm only a small company."
Oh
Well, use a
no, no
small
way.
company could get hit with lots of fees. And let me just tell you what can happen if you do not pay, if you do not file your IRS. I already told you about the fine, right? The IRS will start sending you letters. By the 5th or 6th letter, they're all ready to come after your assets.
Yeah, that's not
So
good.
you
Before we
So,
get too before
yeah.
we get too deep in these IRS rabbit holes, because everybody's situation may be different, but I think that what you're saying is basically just at least be aware of what can happen. and how it applies to you specifically, and definitely seek guidance. So your show on the radio now is basically dropping or talking about these topics like IRS.
Yeah, it talks about a lot of things in business. What I call the show. So Jason Academy is more of I've made that more of like a 5-10 minute like short about this topic. And
Okay.
then on the Saturday show, it's a full hour where I
Okay.
unpack one of these literally completely, like I just did with the IRS tax. I go very deep and I go into every line of that form. I even
Okay.
explain to people how when you hire somebody, you have to make sure you follow the I-9 requirements. I won't go into all that, but long story short, get a passport from somebody is the easiest way. If they're not a U.S. citizen, there's other things you have to do. I'm going to be talking about the real ID on my show probably soon because I think that's another important thing, not just for businesses, but it's really practical advice that you need in your life
Gotcha.
that you're not going to get.
Absolutely.
Got
That's
you.
so
So where can
awesome.
people find you?
What's that?
Where can people find you and find the show if they want
Oh
more
yeah, so
in-depth?
the show is on believemeachieve.com. You can just Google iHealth Radio and look for John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. That's a full hour show. But again, that show is meant to give people, the real hard facts, which some people think they know. And I tell people that's great, but then when you start getting fines in the mail, then you start admitting that you don't know something.
Right.
When you
So
get those
y'all,
pink letters or those blue letters in the mail, that's when you have to respond. Because if you don't, you can have a major problem on your hands. All from just avoiding something when you could have just made a phone call. So I
Gotcha.
think the reason that I've done this is that I know what it's like firsthand, and I know that there's nobody there to help you. The one thing I want to tell you about taxes real quick is everybody wants to go to H&R, all these cheap tax services. I'll tell you to watch out for them. I haven't used them, but what they do is they don't necessarily do the best thing for you as a tax filing service. They're a bulk filing service, just like a lot of these. There's this one shop in New York, I forget the name of it, and they call and they want to do an appointment with you, but they're horrible. I was talking to one accountant. He says, whatever you do, he says, do not go with them. His
Gotcha.
words are they're a
yeah,
sweatshop. He says they want to get you on the books. He says they have no clue what they're doing. They have about 50 accounts and they're just pushing things through and they make so many mistakes. So you really got
Gotcha.
to make sure that you
yeah,
get an account that you trust.
absolutely. So thank you so much for coming back on with us. And are you working on any other updates other than your show?
Yeah,
So
so our other big updates, we're working on growing on being #1 on YouTube. That'll be finished pretty soon. Um,
awesome.
and all of our shows now are getting optimized. So we've done it in the
Okay.
past, but we're spending a lot more time before the show and after the show to make sure the title resonates, to make sure the keywords resonate, which is a lot of time to do
I
that.
bet. Yes,
And
absolutely.
we believe that that is going to be a step that we never took before. We never really took YouTube seriously in the past. Now we're starting to realize, hey, YouTube, we got to do the work for you in the beginning. We do the work in the end. And it takes about 3 to 4 months to rank, but we're on a mission to rank first place for a few videos within the next couple months. But again, you just
Congratulations.
have to realize that your content's got to be valuable and you can't put stuff on there like if you're talking about motivation and suddenly I'm saying, well, this is the best chocolate in the world, that might get people to click on it, but that's clickbaiting. And that's not really going to help you. That's going to get you in trouble down the road. So I would invite everyone to check out believemeachieve.com. You can check out my flagship show, which you guys all ladies know about. It's Inspiration to Your Life. We're up to almost 165, 170,000 people now.
Awesome.
We have the Jay Moore Tech Talk on Friday nights. And of course, if you miss any of these, you can go back and watch them. Plus, all the shows now, since you and I talked, they're all SRT'd, which just means that every single show we're taking the time to transcript. So people that are blind and whatnot, they can actually can't hear, they can actually read the show verbatim.
So awesome. Congratulations on your updates and thank you for sharing with us and congratulations on your progress being made and we hope to have you back down the road again for even more updates. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, Lace. It was a privilege, a pleasure, and honor. And I would just invite all of you to check out believemeachieve.com because everyone in this world wants to get better. And you could do it in the privacy and comfort of your own home, living room, or your office. And no one has to know that you're even watching our videos.
Right. Y'all get connected with John C. Morley because he can give you all the details, y'all. So thank you again, John, for coming on.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, ladies. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.